Looking for an earphone with fantastic sound quality while at the same time you can just easily slip in and forget about it? Well, look no further than the Dunu Titan Ones. Hi, my name is Tom and welcome to On a Student Budget. Now, before we start this review, I want to thank Dunu for sending a pair of these Titan Ones out for review. And I'll also be putting links in the description below to, firstly, my full written review over on HeadFi that covers a more in-depth explanation of this review in written form and further comparisons with other earphones I own. And I'll also be putting more links for where you can find out more information about these Titan Ones and where you can get them as well. So I hope you check those guys out. From a build quality perspective, the Titan Ones, as stated before, is a fully metal housing. So it does carry a little bit more weight to it, but I think that this added weight is very much welcome because this definitely makes this earphone feel more solid and more durable overall. Because most earphones at this price range is typically made out of plastic or some sort of aluminum material. So I think Dunu has done a great job at that. Now moving on into the strain relief here, you can see it's quite long and it does its job very well. And moving into the cable, you can see that it has a rubber kind of sheathing, which is quite flexible and quite supple throughout. So I think that this cable is very much well made. And going into the Y-shaped connector here, you can see that there is a cable cinch for those that use that. And there is also the bottom half of the cable is made out of a fabric coated material. So typically fabric coated materials for cables definitely tangle more and or they kink and such like that, but the Dunu Titan Ones are very much amenable to that. But so all it does is make this earphone just more solid overall and more durable. And you can see that there is sort of a flap here. This is a cable management system that is patented by Dunu. So when you wrap this cable around, you can definitely manage the cable a lot better here and help avoid tangling when you're putting this into your pocket or in your carrying case as well. And lastly, you can see that there is an L-shaped jack, which is very well relieved, and it's a little bit raised throughout, so it'll definitely get into thick smartphone cases easily. And overall, I think that this L-shaped jack is probably the best looking L-shaped jack I've seen in any earphone in the past. From a comfort standpoint, the Titan Ones do a great job at that. Because of their half earbud, half in-ear design, these slip into your ears very effortlessly and sit in your ears very comfortably as well. So I was able to use these earphones for hours on end with little to no fatigue in my ears. Moving on into the isolation of the Titan Ones. This is sort of a tricky category because it really does depend on your preferences and also the application in which you're using these earphones in. So personally, I use the Titan Ones where I need to hear what's going on around me for situational awareness so I don't get run over by a car or I don't get run over by people as well. So I think that these are a good general purpose kind of walking around earphones, an earphone that you need to kind of stay aware of what's going on around you. Moving on into the sound quality aspect of this review. Thankfully, the goodness does not stop here for the Titan Ones, because they have a sound signature that's very reminiscent to one of my favorite earphones of all time, the VSonic GR07 Bass Editions. And those earphones have basically withstand the test of time because of how great they sound and a great price to performance ratio. And I think that the Titan Ones here have exceeded that even actually. So the Titan Ones here have a sort of balanced kind of sound signature with a little bit of emphasized bass and treble. The bass here is mostly emphasized in the mid bass. The bass here is tight, it's punchy, it's fast, and the bass here has a little bit of a thickness and a weight to it to give everything a little bit more impactful and a solid punch to it as well. Moving on into the mid-range here, the mid-range here remains warm and natural, and there is a little bit of emphasis in the upper mid-range, so it makes female vocals come out and pop a little bit more. This can be a good or bad thing depending on your personal preference, but if you find this area to be a little bit sensitive to you, you can easily swap out the stock silicone ear tips with a pair of Comply ear tips. I've had very good success with the Comply T400, which makes the sound signature a little bit smoother throughout. Now going into the treble on these Titan Ones is very refined, very well extended, very detailed as well. There's a good sense of energy, air, and shimmer to it. So overall, I think that the treble here is just really good, clean fun. Now going into the soundstage. Now the soundstage on the Titan ones is quite large. I would say it's even larger than the Havi B3 Pro 1, which I reviewed in an earlier video, and you click the link to the annotation of that review above my finger here. So you can easily listen to EDM music, and there's no sense of congestion. Everything, the synths and the beats will flow freely, and then you can also switch over to acoustic music as well, where it really takes advantage of the soundstage. Everything sounds gentle, tranquil. It really kind of fills the atmosphere with a really light sensation as well. So I think that these Titan ones are just a great all-arounder in that aspect. Now comparing the Titan ones with other earphones that I've gotten recently, which is the ViiSonic VSD5s. The VSD5 is about a $60 to $70 earphone compared to the Titan ones, which is about $80 to $120. In terms of sound signature, the VSD5s has a more pronounced bass and a more emphasized treble. But I personally do prefer overall the Titan ones because the bass here is better controlled than the VSD5s, and the treble is not as peaky sounding and splashy as the VSD5s. But the VSD5s do isolate better than the Titan ones. So if you are going to be using these in loud areas, I would recommend the VSD5s. Now going into comparing them to one of my favorite earphones of all time, which is the ViiSonic GR07 Bass Editions. They have a sort of a similar sound signature with the Titans in the sense that they're relatively balanced with a little bit of emphasis in the bass and the treble. But I think the main differences, especially in terms of the bass anyway, is that the Titan ones have a more emphasized mid bass, so it has more weight and gives a little bit more thickness and a little bit of lower mid emphasis as well. Whereas the GR07s have a more sub bass in terms of, so there's a little bit more rumble in the bass as well. I do think that the GR07s are a little bit tighter in terms of the bass overall. Going into the treble, I do prefer the treble on the Titan ones because the Titan ones have a little bit more of a shimmeriness to it, a little bit more added color or flavor to it. So I still do really love the GR07. It still remains one of my top earphones of all time, and I think they're really kind of neck and neck with the Dunu Titan ones. So really high praise for the Titan ones. So overall, I highly recommend the Titan ones. They're a great earphone if you just want to slip into your ear and just kind of forget about it, with a relatively balanced sound signature, but you don't want to skip out on the bass and the treble and the kind of the fun factor that comes with it. And you also want to remain aware of your surroundings as well, and combine that with its really strong build quality. This is just a great everyday earphone. So I hope you enjoyed that review on these Dunu Titan ones. If it did help you guys out, definitely hit the like and subscribe button and share with your friends. And if you want to see more reviews on this channel, you can click the link to those annotations above here, 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 and here as well. But until then, I will see you guys in the next video.